Dell TV, on X, and on wherever you are, but certainly on those. So, what do we start off with today? We know the president is on his way to Scotland. It looks like to work out a pretty amicable deal with, to continue to negotiate the endpoints of the deal with the UK, which is a very favorable trade deal, and maybe to get a little help with the EU, which really doesn't want to be at a terrible disadvantage to the UK. And by the way, you might have noticed, and of course, nobody pays attention to this because nobody wants to pay attention to anything that's favorable to even to the United States. I mean, Trump and the United States are the same thing right now since he's the president. But the EU is having a great deal of trouble negotiating a trade deal with China. I wonder why. Because China cheats, steals, uses trade practices that would put most people in jail. And of course, we've submitted to it since Nixon and Kissinger convinced us they could be our friends. And since every one of the jerk-offs in American business that favors them think they can make a lot of money there without considering the fact that this is the regime that has killed the most people in the world. The other one they're very nice to is Iran, too. They could kill the second most people in the world. Yeah, but they want to go after Israel instead. So today, I think maybe we start with a thing. We start with the thing that the crooked 80% news outlets in this country is not going to cover properly, and that is that Obama is, without any doubt, a traitor to the United States. It's been proven over and over again with undeniable facts. So even before we get to what Tulsi Gabbard very bravely and courageously pulled out of a reluctant intelligence service, how about the fact that the guy was given hundreds of millions to a known terrorist, to actually maybe the biggest terrorist in the world? Now, we talk about presidential immunity, don't we? Do we really think that the Supreme Court gave the president immunity to contribute cash to terrorists who specialize in murdering citizens of America? Not only do they do it, we know they do it. We have seriously penalized them for it, like executing some of their people. We have videos of it. They've been doing it for 4 decades. And it is well known to everyone, including Prince Obama, who, although not really as intelligent and as well-educated as you think, although very well-educated in Marxism and anti-so-called colonialism, even Obama had to know that half of the budget of this country goes to terrorist groups, including terrorist groups that specialize in killing Americans. Now, do you think the Supreme Court would extend the immunity provisions that surround a president in the proper exercise of his duties to double-cross his own country and provide money that he had to know was going to be used to kill his own citizens? I don't think so. I'd like to test that case. Well, that case exists. You don't even need Tulsi Gabbard for that case. That case has existed for 5 years, since we found out that Obama was sending cash over to the Ayatollah. No, not wire transfers, cash. At a time in which they were killing Americans. So stop all of the phony, could Obama have committed treason? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you that naive? If you haven't known he committed treason for the last 5 years, you're not with it. There's something wrong with you. You've either been brainwashed, ideologically twisted, you're stupid, you don't pay attention, or you're not interested in the survival of your country and the survival of your children. Now we'll get to the newest issue, which I've only known for 5 years, 6 years. that Obama is at the top of the enterprise known as destroy Donald Trump any way that you can. Now, the question there becomes, as the president pointed out today, but he did it too. First of all, please don't consider this anything other than what I would say to him constantly when I read. He's not a lawyer. And therefore, his opinions on interpreting Supreme Court decisions should be taken with a certain amount of examination. Let me point out to you why Obama definitely doesn't have immunity. And then even beyond that, there are other areas where he may not have immunity. There's one very clear one. The allegations against Obama is that sometime in 2015, 2016, he was the kingpin of a conspiracy to deprive Donald Trump of the presidency. Really to hold on to the presidency for the Democratic Party and for himself, because he intended, as he did with Biden, to the extent that he could with Hillary, to run the country from behind the scenes and continue it on its march to one worldness, Marxism, Islamic extremist favoritism, and atheistic communism. These are the goals of Obama's presidency. If you haven't figured out by now, read a little more. There are documents up the, what was the word, wazoo, whatever that means, but that high, that demonstrate it. And then there's your common sense that tells you, of course, that's true. I don't know. I couldn't possibly go over all the evidence with you. I couldn't, and it wouldn't matter, because you either are, there are people who have Trump derangement syndrome. There are people who have Obama insanity. They voted for him not because he was qualified. He didn't have a single qualification for president, except coming from one of the most corrupt political machines in the country and having a very, very questionable, odd, flaky background. And then he turned out to be an awful president. I mean, about as bad as, well, it was hard to imagine worse until Biden came along. But does the sum and substance of these at his side question how much did Biden understand? All the rest, Rice and all of them hanging around there. And they were orchestrating was a Russian interference in the 2016 election to help Trump. They were trying to orchestrate, and that Trump was colluding with them in that regard. They tried to float that during the campaign. There is ample evidence that Obama not only knew about it, but helped to direct it. There is also more than ample evidence that it happened. And it failed, and we have the famous struck to his mistress tape. There's no there. That's after they investigated the original collusion allegations. That, of course, did not dissuade the FBI, the fact that the man was innocent, from continuing to persecute him, which they did to many, many people, including me, over the course of the Obama-Biden dictatorship and fascist regime. That continued now into 2016, beyond 2016 into 2017. As soon as Trump was sworn in, the Democrats called for his impeachment. The Washington Post called for his impeachment. Obama was fully aware of the fact, and it helped to assist in developing the basis for this, which led to another investigation of what everyone knew now was untrue, and that is the Russian collusion allegations. They had already investigated, I believe, at least once, possibly twice, and concluded that there was nothing to it. Then they got demented Mueller. Of course, They seem to pick guys who are to do these things because they can direct them. So Mueller didn't know what the F he was doing. I certainly figured that out the day I walked in and met him as Trump's lead counsel. I knew Mueller when he was a young guy. He worked for me, and he was an assistant to Bill Weld, who was the U.S. attorney in Boston. He was the U.S. attorney himself. He was a terrible U.S. attorney. He was relatively lazy, not terribly smart, and had one very big black mark that should have ended his career. He sat back while Whitey Bulger was blowing the brains out of people. The FBI agent knew about it. Nobody did anything about it, and it happened while he was conducting the investigation. That generally would lead to, I'm not saying that Mueller is a murderer. That's beyond any facts I have or even feeling that I have. But I do feel he's a jerk-off and a pompous ass. Always has been, always will be. And then he was a pompous ass who got dementia. When I was representing Trump after the first meeting, when he didn't seem to know that he couldn't indict the president based on the Justice Department rules that he was subjected to, they corrected that in a day. His staff did. I would often have to call them with very serious complaints about their consistent illegal and unethical behavior. And those are all the Democrat puppets that were working for him, trying to nail Trump for something they knew he didn't do, and trying to torture Manafort into lying. You could never talk to Mueller. You couldn't get him on the phone. I started calling them and my people with me. We started saying he was like the Wizard of Oz. You know, he was behind the curtain. And then I would get really upset, and I'm not, as you can tell, the most gentle person when I deal as a lawyer with adversaries that are trying to destroy my client illegally, unethically, and in a way that made my stomach turn as a former prosecutor. And I would say, cut the bullshit. You're not, Bob's not going to make this. I would call him up and I would tell them something they did terribly wrong, and I asked them if they fix it. Said, we'll bring it to Bob. I said, cut the bullshit. You don't bring anything to Bob. You make the decisions yourself. Bob doesn't know where the hell he is. Now, when he testified, he didn't know where the hell he was. He didn't know what he was investigating. It was the first of our dementia discoveries. Of course, it wasn't the first. The first of our dementia discoveries was when Biden ran in 2016 and proved to the whole world that he was demented before he was elected. So the Obama case is a case that now the question becomes, did they commit any crimes? If the facts are correct, yes, they did, many. Is there probable cause to believe they committed crimes? Way beyond it. Is Obama immune because he was president of the United States? Well, there are two answers to that, both of which are, one of which is very effective, and the other of which I think I know the answer to, but a court has to decide it. Number one, he certainly is responsible for the crimes that he committed after he was president. And much, if not most, of the serious part of this conspiracy occurred after Trump was president, and they illegally, fraudulently committed all kinds of deception to try to remove him from office by perpetuating the Russian collusion beyond the day of his inauguration. They were using it, a story they knew to be false, a story they knew to have been paid for by Hillary Clinton with laundered money through the Perkins Coie law firm. Maybe they knew too. Well, they certainly should be put under investigation, because a lawyer can do things for your client, but you can't commit a crime for your client. But well, if you're laundering money, if you're laundering money in order to get a phony report, and now you're propagating it to remove a lawfully elected president, I don't know what you call that. Well, you call it fraud for sure. Maybe sedition. Maybe sedition for sure. Now, I'm sorry, Prince Communist Obama, but you weren't in the White House when that was going on, and you were still aware of it, and you were still in charge of it. And you were still getting reports on it, and you were still making comments favorable to it. Why don't you just check in to jail? Because that's where the hell you belong. traitor. Now, Trump calls you a traitor. Probably it doesn't fit the constitutional definition of traitor. Does it fit you betrayed your country? Yeah, you and Biden would have to have, God would have to decide who betrayed our country more than you did. You certainly made Benedict Arnold look like what did Biden, you say, one-horse pony? He did it one time with a secret. You just kept doing it. I don't know how many people you got killed by putting that demented Biden in office. How many? What do you think, 1 million? There'd been no Ukraine. You know that. I know that. Everybody knows that. Putin would have invaded. Putin almost didn't invade even with Biden. He took time. He waited. He poked. He poked him to make sure he really was as demented as he looked like. When he found out, he just went right in. He had a pretty good idea that he was demented when he took the troops out of Afghanistan before the civilians who the terrorists wanted to kill because they helped us, and let them all get killed. That's not just the people on the horrible, most disgraceful day in American history, the day of our insane withdrawal, where 13 Americans were killed for no reason at all, and their families would, like you, probably former president, probably to be executed. You probably do have some immunity for that. But the reality is, the guy on the outside pulling the strings, he doesn't have any immunity for that. And we know you didn't know. I mean, this is where they all start to come together, including the auto pen, right? Let's start with the obvious. Biden didn't know what the hell he was doing. There's no way that Biden, what did he get, 1,500 pardons? There'd be no way he could go through 1,500 pardons. He would have died in the middle of it. But there's no way he was making decisions going back to 2019. There was a little Politburo making decisions. We know that Obama was part of that. Now let's go prove it. No immunity for that. Your great dream, Obama, your damn insane fantasy, which you expressed once because you're a damn pervert, was, oh, I really would like being out of the presidency and running things. Well, you were. Now that becomes the crime. And tell me where there's immunity for that. I want to see a Supreme Court decision that says that a former president has immunity after he's president for telling the next president what to do. You think that works? Of course it doesn't work. You don't even have to be a lawyer to figure that out. And Mr. President, check with me sometimes before you say he has immunity. I love you. You are the best president in my lifetime. Yeah, that was a hard one to say with Ronald Reagan, but right now, there he is right behind me. I don't know if he'd be so angry if I said that. And you're going through worse than he ever went through, and he went through hell. But your opinion about his immunity was off the cuff. Probably, arguably correct about the time he was in the presidency. I only say arguably because the Supreme Court was very careful to say that they didn't grant absolute immunity. What they didn't do is tell us what they didn't grant immunity for. So honestly, nobody can tell you really whether he does or he doesn't have immunity for it. The acts that are alleged are of a very now. If you Obama nuts want to be satisfied for a moment, let's assume for a moment that they're not true, but they are alleged. So we have to, as lawyers, we have to evaluate them as if true. So don't get all upset. It has to be proved in court. But if we take the acts alleged against Trump, we take the acts alleged against Obama, the acts alleged against Obama go way further into the area of criminality, accepted, known, defined criminality, than the acts alleged against Trump, which may not even be crimes. So the Supreme Court, if you go back and read that decision, which I did quickly, I'm going to do it in great detail over the weekend. they did not draw the line. They did say there's not complete immunity. So there are things that a president can do for which he can be prosecuted. So you say to me, well, what are those things? Almost everything I would have to tell you now is going to come out as lawyer speak. It's my assessment of, if you're prosecuted for it, how the Supreme Court's going to decide. So I would say you have a choice in the Justice Department. If you can gather the facts against him, if the strike force can gather the facts against him, and thank God it's a strike force and not a congressional committee, Coomer or anyone else, because they can't gather the facts against anybody. They don't even seem to want to. They avoid all of the critical evidence. I mean, it's absurd. It's absurd that we've had to have most of this, those jerk-offs could have gotten. They didn't need Tulsi to do this. Everything that she's telling you, how did I know it? And they didn't know it. Yeah. Yesterday we're going to talk about Hillary in a minute. I only brought that out 5 years ago. It's like they avoided. I mean, it's somebody should investigate that. It's like they avoided. Here they are, all struggling with whether he's demented or not. And since when the heck was when would the hard drive been available to them? Well, certainly the beginning of 20. Well, the hard drive would have been available to them from the beginning of their investigation. So it contains a statement. You don't know this because they never revealed it. That Hunter tells his psychiatrist that his father is demented in 2019. That's a year before he was president. That's a year before he ran for president. Then you don't just have to, then you can take the Sun statement. And if you watch Dr. Maria's show at 9, she has a on Lindell TV. She has a terrific, and I think we'll borrow it sometime and play it for you. She has a terrific group of statements made by Biden in 2019 and 2020. So if you combine Biden saying, my father is demented, to Keith Abloh, and Keith Abloh agreeing in 2019, and you add to it the obvious, even more powerful things that you see, there were things I hadn't forgotten. I mean, I remember that he thought he saw that Roosevelt had been on television reading the comics. Of course, Roosevelt was dead before there were comics. That he loved it when the little kids touched the hair on his legs. I remember his losing his train of thought in sentences and not being able to say the Pledge of Allegiance. Right? I pledge allegiance to that, something like that. Right? I mean, I must have had 50 of those on my podcast. I had 2 psychiatrists on in August of 2020 who said he was demented. One moderately, the other seriously, both of which said that he wasn't going to make it through his term. And one of them saying, I can't understand how anybody would nominate him or vote for him. This idea that he was demented, everyone knew going in, including Obama. Is that a crime? Giving him the opportunity to run the White House. And then don't we now get an opportunity with a grand jury, not with congressional investigators that can't investigate anything, to find out how much they were running? As the shadow president? So then the decisions made by a shadow president, are they immune? I don't think so. What do you think, Ted? You're not a lawyer. Your dad's a judge. You're a very smart guy.
I hear I've been exposed to the best lawyer.
If you could have presidential immunity when you're not the president, I want it. I should get it. Everybody should get it. Just because the president doesn't mean you commit crime for the rest of your life.
Well, the way you kind of broke that down, Mayor. I mean, that's
how come nobody else broken it down that way.
Now we're not going to charge our audience, but sometimes law school courses they ain't cheap.
Well, that's because this is why they threw me out of being a lawyer, because I'm too honest.
That's got to change. That's something we gotta.
Oh, it's an outrage.
I mean, there's a way
they took away from me. I mean, I love doing a lot of things. You can tell that, right? You can tell I have great enthusiasm for what I'm doing, right?
Of course.
There's nothing I love more other than my children and my good friends than being a lawyer. And I can tell you another thing. There's nothing I was better at. I watch these guys sometimes struggle, and it's like, he sees it. It's painful. I used to train them. So when they work for me, I would call them in and I would train them. I had to be trained. I was trained by a great, great mentor, Judge Lloyd McMahon. Examining the extraordinarily bizarre but very interesting times we live in. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month.
Wow.
Including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're gonna go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudys Coffee. Well, welcome back to the Rudy Giuliani Show. And Todd Blanche finished today his interview of Giselle Maxwell at the U.S. Attorney's Office. What was it, in Tallahassee? Is that it? In Tallahassee? And
Tallahassee, Florida.
I thought it was, right. And it was a short still bound by the same rules. And I don't know what the rules are for this, frankly. These are rules they made because she's no longer a defendant. She's strictly, he could tell you, I think. I'd rather do a little research before I say that. But this is not like the investigation of an accused or suspected criminal who has, this is a person who's convicted and doing 20 years in jail. But in any event, her lawyer can say anything he wants. And he gave us the following additional facts for the ravenous media that's eating up this story. And the president is annoyed that they're spending so much time on it. He should be, because they're trying to pin it on him, and it has nothing to do with this story. He broke relations with this guy so far in the past. And I tell you, this is one I always knew they were going to try and screw him with. And of course, they've done it well after I represented him. But I gathered all the facts so that Mueller had them. He couldn't be further from being criminally involved in this than throwing him out of Mar-a-Lago, throwing him out of the golf course. Would he have done that had he been in a compromising situation with him? Of course not. Is there any evidence he was in a compromising situation? Of course not. Does that basically tell you he wasn't? Yes. Or you need the additional one that whatever the present Justice Department has comes from the prior Biden Justice Department. Since they had to make up crimes about him, if they had some juicy little suggestion that comes out of this, you don't think we know about it? Of course. Why are they doing the cover-up that they're doing? Why is this happening? It's happening from certain people because they want to protect Bill Clinton, and it's happening by others because they're in a box. They're in a trick box, which is you can't comment unfavorably or in a way that suggests that people committed crimes without giving them a chance to defend themselves. And so you also have innocent victims who could be revealed, who you can't reveal. You have names. I don't know how many names you have associated with even probable cause they committed a crime. But if any name comes out, all of a sudden suspicion attaches to it. And is that fair or right? Well, in any event, according to Jeffrey Epstein's, according to Jill Maxwell's lawyer, David Oscar Marcus, who so far is handling himself very professionally, I might add, over 100 different people were specifically named by her in her discussion with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. And they're described as linked. The article here described as linked to the late pedophile. And in that is the rub, right? In that is the complexity. So it would have to just naturally be the case, since the guy led several levels of life. And I don't think he let everybody, I don't think he was walking around saying, hey, I'm a pedophile. There are a lot of people he hid it from because he did a lot of legitimate business and made a lot of money. And not everybody's a pedophile. And a lot of people find them odious and disgusting and horrible. So he would have jeopardized to a great extent all of that had he let everybody he was Epstein to know. I mean, suppose you were the guy who took care of his lawn, or you were the guy who delivered the groceries, or You were a client of his. He was he was involved in a very, very high level financial institution. And he was an advisor to very, very wealthy people. I'm sure he didn't tell all of them, hey, Rufus, I'm a pedophile. Rufus might have beaten the shit out of him. Most of the people I know would be inclined to do that. I think they'd restrain themselves, but maybe they'd feel bad after that they did. So we got 100 names, it looks like.
And
we don't have an answer to whether there's a list, I don't think, do we?
we do not.
Marcus assures us, but again, remember, he's her lawyer, and let's not hold against him that he'll make comments based on what she has told him. Now, that doesn't mean they're true. And it doesn't mean he's lying. How does he know? He's representing her. She is told, she's told the Deputy Attorney General and her lawyer the following set of facts. Let's assume she's told them both the same set of facts. I mean, some unscrupulous lawyers might, be willing to sit there and let her lie. We're certainly not going to accuse this guy of that. And he doesn't look like the kind of guy that would do that. So let's assume right now, at least with regard to what she disclosed, there are an equal set of facts. But we still don't have the answer to the question that plagues, it doesn't plague me, it plagues a lot of my friends, though. I'm headed home. And that is there a list or not? I'm more interested in, well, I am interested, I mean, let's get it out of the way. Is there a list or isn't there? There doesn't have to be. I mean, I don't know. There'd be a good reason to maintain a list so you can shake people. That'd be a good reason not to maintain a list because it's incriminating even of you. So there's no necessity that there's a list. But there are plain logs. And they have to have been examined because it also has been disclosed. According to the lawyer, she answered every single question that Blanche propounded. I have to believe he asked her, is there a list? I mean, the whole country is asking, is there a list? I'm sure Todd asked her, is there a list?
Well, the New York Post is reporting that she was granted limited immunity while giving DOJ these 100 people.
If she lies, they could charge her with lying, Marcus noted. So she was given immunity for using it in a prosecution against her. But believe it or not, she wasn't given immunity for committing what we call a 1001 violation. I mean, she could have, if she lies, she could be prosecuted for it. So I'm surprised. Sometimes they do not even going to tell you the name of it. They do it like an immunity deal where they just let you get a chance to say what you want to say. And then they evaluate it and then they figure out if they're going to subject it. If you and your lawyer get a chance to figure out if you're going to subject that to perjury, because then the government can give you an opportunity to know what you're going to get for it. It's a very I'm going to tell you what they call it, queen for a day. They should change it.
So that basically,
queen for a day means you can come in and you can talk to me as a prosecutor and tell me anything you want, not going to be held against you.
Short of like murder.
Now, we can do queen for a day, and it includes a statement to the FBI, which can prosecute you for lying, which is what she did, because he said she could be prosecuted for lying. Or we could do a queen for a day, and it's just for our general benefit. And
for background and context?
Yeah, and also for me to make a decision as to what I'm going to give you. Look, they're not talking about this, but she's looking for something, right? Well, she's looking for a pardon, I guess. But she's probably immediately looking for some reduction of her sentence. So I would imagine, now this is guesswork on how this works, right? A lawyer is saying, Todd, now you got everything, right? She's willing to go before a grand jury and say all this. And she's willing to go before a court and say all this. If it involved, let's say 25% of those 100 things involve cases you could prosecute. Mm-hmm. But in return for that, she wants to be let out of jail. In return for that, she wants a reduction of 5 years. In return for that, she wants whatever. She wants you to agree to the appeal. In return for that, she wants a pardon. mean, you can ask. No, I mean, if he's not asking for a pardon, he's not a lawyer. Of course, he should ask for a pardon. Remember, he represents her, not us. And no matter how crummy you think she is or she isn't, she's entitled to a lawyer. Only one not entitled to a lawyer, and the only one where you could prosecute his lawyers for doing the right thing and telling the truth was Donald Trump. He is the one American who was not entitled to have the full representation of counsel without their being intimidated, attempted to put them in prison, taking away their law licenses, raising millions of dollars to destroy them and bankrupt them. And I was by far not the only one or the first one. This is one of the great, horrible crimes against our country. Not against me, not against Trump only, but against our entire country to do that. But in any event, she does have that protection, which Trump never
limited,
really had.
Meaning not queen for a day.
It doesn't sound that way because of what he said. He said, and I credit him with being a straight lawyer and knowing what he's talking about. He said she could be prosecuted if she was lying, which means they didn't go as far as they might go with a person involved in a less serious crime. Let's put it that way. If you had a person at the lower end of a drug thing, right? Mm-hmm. One of the couriers or one of the, you might say, okay, come on and tell me everything you know. We'll evaluate it. We'll see if we can give you a plea or no jail or deferred or something like that in return for that. And we're not gonna, we got enough to prosecute you. We're not gonna use it against you. And in her case, they got her in jail for 20 years. Until and unless they do something to reduce that, there's no reason to prosecute her again. What are you going to put her in jail for another 20 years? I mean, when she gets out, she can be an old lady.
So set the scene, Mayor. Who's in the room during these interviews? It's obviously...
Pardon me?
Set the scene for us.
Well, they run a U.S. Attorney's office. So I would imagine... Oh, my goodness. Let me see. What's wrong with this?
This is live TV. Anything can happen.
Oh, it's unidentified. We don't answer unidentified. Stead here, look. Who knows who it could be? It says United States. That's it. It comes from the United States. That's very helpful, right? I'm sorry. You have to leave a... If you're calling me now, you have to leave a message. And if you're legitimate, I'll call you back. But if you're trying to sell me soap, probably not going to go.
That happened to DeSantis during a press conference the other day.
Remember what I answered Trump?
Yeah, I got to play that. We got to play that clip. Yeah, I got that somewhere.
It was the other show, the next show, and it was in Florida, and we were outside. We were broadcasting on the patio.
That's right. Well, tonight our audience is in for a treat because we're going straight through here, 7 to 9.
Yep. So,
so set the scene for us, Mayor. So
the scene.
This is at a jail.
It would almost always have to be like this. If they did it in the U.S. Attorney's office, they did it in the main conference room, of course. They kept it very secure. U.S. Attorney's offices can be made, good ones can, and this is a good one, can be made super secure. I did that. I did that when I met with the FBI and the U.S. Attorney to deliver for 5 hours all the evidence on Biden. In January of 2020 with Bob Costello, all of that could have put him in jail by, by April of 2020. You know what happened to it? Barr sat on it. When Barr sits on something, you know what happens, right? I don't understand that guy. There are parts of his being Attorney General that were great. And he's a very, very smart lawyer. And barring the things I know, a decent guy, but what he did with the hard drive and hiding it and the lying that he did about the 2020 election and the ferocity with which he shut down investigations is mind-boggling. But so here, this is a little extrapolating, right? So they would meet in the U.S. Attorney's office. She is accompanied, of course, by the U.S. Marshals because she's a prisoner. They probably have had her overnight in the lockup for that district rather than the prison she's in. Maybe for 2 nights so she could consult with a lawyer, maybe for 3, who knows. But they would bring her in. She'd be there with her lawyer, or I don't know if it looked like he had a couple of assistants with him. So let's say 2 or 3 of her lawyers, the main lawyer, Marcus, and his 2 assistants or paralegals or investigators. Todd was there. He had an assistant with him. We don't know inside the office how many other people participated in it. Did the FBI participate or not? When I met with the U.S. attorney to deliver the overwhelming evidence on Biden that took 5 hours to deliver, including a point by point presentation that took 45 minutes, and original documents that in and of themselves describe crimes, and people who were crying out to be interviewed by the FBI or they'd be killed. I mean, it was quite a scene. We had about 12 people in the room. I would think this would be smaller. Probably, I don't know if they're sharing it with the U.S. Attorney's Office or not. So if they're sharing it with the U.S. Attorney's Office, the U.S. Attorney would be there, 1 or 2 of his assistants, Todd, his assistant, maybe another one. My best guess is it was small. It was her lawyer. Looked like the lawyer had 2 assistants. Looked like Todd had 1. Could have had 2 more. So maybe 3 for the government, 3 for her. Maybe a law enforcement agent because she's a prisoner. Probably a marshal. That's it. Did they transcribe it? Don't know. They don't say they did. An FBI could have an FBI agent there if he says she's subjected to perjury, because to be sure, because those statutes on prosecutions for lying when you're not under oath are pretty tricky, and they generally involve 302s, statements made to the FBI. So there might have been an FBI agent there in order to create the situation the lawyer is talking about. So they and I'm sure they're on an airplane back to Washington to debrief the Attorney General. And I'm sure they made at least notes. I'm sure, of course, they made notes. The question is, did they audio tape it, videotape it, or use a stenographer? I would hope they did. I mean, why have a dispute later about did she say 3 or 4, or
right?
If she's willing to subject herself to possible false statement. It really isn't perjury; it's false statement prosecution. If she's willing to subject herself to that, then there's no reason why her lawyer, even for her own purposes. I mean, sometimes the government misstates things. And as her lawyer, if I was convinced that she's past a point of screwing around, I represented clients who cooperated sometimes in very big cases, and I'd give them a long speech on you just stepped over a line, and you can't step back now. You step back, we just did this all for nothing because they're going to prosecute you. So now you got to tell the whole truth. I know it's tough, and it may be embarrassing. There are things you want to hide and people you want to protect, but you gave that up, and I didn't let you give it up unless I explained it to you. Do people still lie after that? Of course. Look what Cohen did. He did it 5 times, which is why they threw him out of the U.S. Attorney's Office. But this is such a high stakes case. And there could be something involved in this that we don't know, I don't know, whatever. But if you just take it on the face of it, it doesn't make sense for her to lie. She got 20 years in jail. She's going to get out of jail probably, she's done about 4 so far. So she'll get out of jail probably in about 10 or 11 years, right?
Yep.
If she screws around, she'll be in jail for the rest of her life. I don't think she likes jail. She's doing this to get out of jail, not to get additional jail sentence. I sure would tell her that as a lawyer. I would say to her, Giselle, let's just get your head all straight. I know this sounds like goody two shoes, but it's not. There's no point in lying now. All lying can do is make all of this much worse. Best thing to do is to shut up. If you're going to lie, stay there. We'll work on your pardon anyway. We'll work on your appeal. We'll work on parole. We'll work on this. We'll work on that. Maybe something you can cooperate in later, more limited comes along. We can get you out on that. But the last thing in the world you do now is lie to them. And first of all, they're going to get angry as hell. And number two, they'll put you away forever. You screw around with the government now, and you can screw around with the American people. They're all kind of listening to this. So I'm not going to say she's telling the truth. I'm saying the odds are in favor of the fact that she's probably telling the truth.
Okay. Yeah.
And the odds are they transcribed it.
Right.
I would prefer for them to have videotaped it, because I think if you're going to judge her credibility, seeing somebody is really important. I mean, we put a lot of faith in that in jury cases, don't we? Even judges even tell jurors that sometimes, that they can evaluate demeanor. And I know as a prosecutor and investigator, I put a lot of emphasis. So, which means, hey, it means you can be fooled. But if you get good at it, hopefully you get beyond the getting fooled. So the real question is, when do we find out?
Right. So
and my recommendation, given the criticisms and all, not immediately, but pretty quickly. This should not get into a holdup, because the Attorney General is, trying to get herself out of having been criticized for holding things up after tantalizing people with getting it. Now, there are a lot of reasons she could have done that, and she's probably getting unfairly exaggerated criticized for it. But you got to recognize that's what you're being criticized for. So to hold this up now forever and ever, you're just going to have this story forever and ever. It's going to be interesting, because I think we're going to find out about people we don't know about. A lot of names came out today. Not a lot, about 8 or 9. But we don't know what they did with him. And that's why it's unfair. Let's pick somebody that wasn't. No, don't pick some. Mr. Jones was were there 50 people that sent him birthday cards or something? And one of them is Mr. Jones. Does that mean Mr. Jones is a criminal? No. Does it mean that the minute Mr. Jones' name appears, a certain group of jerks are going to think he is? Yeah. And that's the problem that an honest prosecutor and a decent one would be dealing with here. Not the problem the Bidens were dealing with, because they didn't have any honest prosecutors or decent ones. They had a bunch of prosecutors that would have done really, really well in the Soviet Union.
Right.
They basically spent their time framing people. It's the biggest stain on our justice system in our history. So I'm not going to mention the names. I have pictures of them here. I'm not going to put their names out. We're not even going to talk about the most famous of them all, because, and that's not Donald Trump, as you know, because the one who had substantial 100 times more contacts with him than Donald Trump, who ended his contacts with him 2004, 5, 6. We know who that is. The guy who is dressed up as a woman in a painting in his apartment. But he's entitled to the presumption of innocence too, right? But if you're gonna torture Trump, I mean, doesn't Clinton really deserve the torture? I mean, the facts with regard to Trump look like pretty much an innocent guy. Broke off with him, threw him out, wouldn't have anything to do with him. No, pretty clear evidence he never went down to the island, whereas with the other guy, there appears to be evidence that he did. But we know how the press is, don't we? As bad as the prosecutors. There was an interview done by somebody I don't know who has to fit into go find something to do other than being a reporter or trying to present things to people because you're a sniveling little creep. Now, this is the guy who interviewed Hunter Biden. Now, you get a chance to interview Hunter Biden and you're a man, you challenge him. Well, this guy might as well sat in his lap. I mean, he let Hunter Biden say the most extraordinary things where there are documents to challenge it, and he didn't present him with the documents. It made him sound like an extraordinarily sympathetic, degenerate drug addict who clearly sold out the United States of America. That's Callahan's country, too. You would not have known it from the interview. I don't know Andrew Callahan. I never met him. Don't want to meet him. He's a complete piece of shit. You don't do something that men do, which is interview serious criminals when you're a sycophant. And that's the best I can say about you. You're a shitty little sycophant. I mean, the guy said during the interview that basically there was no reason to report him for child pornography. Little sniveling Callahan didn't spend the time to research it so he could confront him with Hunter Biden's own email and his own words, saying he was a danger to his nieces and nephews because of the sexual provocations that were outlined by his niece's psychiatrist. Biden admitted that to his father. And this little shit let him pretend as if Bernie Kerik and I made it up. You see why I think he's a little shit? Bernie isn't here to defend himself. I am. You want to come on my show, shithead? I don't think you'd want to do it personally. I know you're a lot younger, but you don't look like much. You let this guy go on. There's documentary evidence that he gave millions and millions of dollars to his father. He even emailed it to his daughter, and you don't confront him with it? Who are you working for? It's too serious to have little sycophants like this hanging around doing this without being called out. It was a pathetic interview. Callahan was more pathetic than Hunter for doing it. I assume he's got all his marbles. Who knows what Hunter has left? Guy was on drugs forever. I've never heard of anyone in rehab as much as he was. And if you think he's been clean for 5 years, I mean, I can't imagine how the guy didn't laugh when he said that. and the drugs just got into the White House. Oh, and crack is safer than alcohol. That's another one. So, maybe the guy should have asked, where's the proof of that? You think you would have thought of that because you're an honest person? You think nobody challenges that? Then he several times, or at least once, I think more than once, said, if I were president, well, a very different kind of person, a person of morals, integrity, and intelligence, who's one of the best reporters in our country and columnist, Miranda Devine, wrote a column today saying, and I'm afraid I didn't think of this even yesterday, maybe this idiot thinks he's going to run for president. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you've spent the time that I spent, and admittedly it's a while ago, although I have a pretty darn good memory for the hard drive. From the interview, sure, you can see how pathetic it is. And you can see this pathetic little twit.
George Clooney is not a fucking actor. He is a fucking, I don't know what he is. He's a brand. And by the way, and God bless him. You know what? He supposedly treats his friends really well. You know what I mean? Buys them things. And he's got a really great place in Lake Como. And he's great friends with Barack Obama. Fuck you. What do you have to do with fucking anything? Why do I have to fucking listen to you? What right do you have to step on a man who's given 52 years of his fucking life to the service of this country and decide that you, George Clooney, are going to take out basically a full-page ad in the fucking New York Times to me and James Carville, who hasn't run a race in 40 fucking years, and David Axelrod, who had one success in his political life, and that was Barack Obama.
Well, now hold it up for a minute. Just hold it up for 1 minute. Hold it up for 1 minute. Isn't this where you stop and you play 12 clips of his old man acting like buffoon, not knowing that people are dead, falling, going up the stairs, walking in the wrong direction, not knowing how to say the Pledge of Allegiance, thinking that Franklin Roosevelt was on television when television wasn't even around when Franklin Roosevelt died, thinking that he gave his uncle a medal in the White House, which he never did. And the time frame he gave for it was 9 years after his uncle died. I mean, I go on and on. Or isn't this when you pull out? If you're a man of integrity, isn't that when you pull out the email that says that he was demented? You know, Hunter. Before you attack all these people and you use my station to curse them out and defame them, maybe they should sue the both of them. Maybe you should explain what you meant when you told Keith Abloh that your father was demented in 2019. And by the way, let's take a look at these clips. It sure looks like he was demented when he walked out the wrong way and they had to point him back in the other direction, doesn't it? It sure looks like it was demented when he says, and now I want to tell you. Well, okay. I don't know. We don't have those clips that Maria has, but I'm telling you, after this show is over, and we never broke and went into the next show, but we're in it because we went right in. After this show is over, I'll try to conclude it at 9, and this way you can go over to Lindell TV. By the way, Ted, before I do that, find out if it's working tonight.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, it didn't work tonight. Yeah, you don't see a happy face, do you? Well, in any event, we were able to get on with you on X, which is very trustworthy. But she has an excellent, and it's silly to play for you right now because you can watch it there. But when you look at it, I want you to think of what Hunter Biden said and what a sycophant this guy is for not confronting him with any of that and letting him just go off. I mean, not only that, he's going off and defaming all kinds of people. I don't like these people. But I mean, this guy, this is the last guy in the world. I mean, a lot of people can criticize George Clooney. This is about the one guy that can, right? And then he complains that Bernie Kerik and I turned him in for child pornography. Well, would you like to see the pictures that he had of a little girl in his hard drive? Would you like? Why don't you take a look at the email that the psychiatrist describes how he abused those kids and his own admission that he was a danger to the kids, huh? Why don't you take a look at all the pictures in the hard drive? What normal guy has so many underage girls in his hard drive except a creep pervert like that? And then the guy did ask one challenging question, little meek. Why didn't you sue? Why didn't you sue? Well, hey, he did. And he had to dismiss the case. He sued me. He sued Bernie. I think he sued Bernie. He sued the president in California, and he had to dismiss the case because it was a bunch of effing lies. Why didn't you point that out? Because you don't give a damn about the truth. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you've done, but please get out of our lives. We got enough lying reporters. We don't need some more that support lies and don't have the basic competence to do what a 15-year-old would figure out what to do. I mean, you didn't bother to check whether he had any lawsuits before you did you do anything before the interview? Except sit around and laugh with him? Andrew Callahan. When you see the name or the face, turn it off because you ain't getting the truth. It doesn't look that way. You're sure not going to get any challenge. If you can't challenge this guy, you can't challenge anybody. I mean, this guy said things in which they were taped visual contradictions.
Here's the clip where he talks about you.
In the gut, by an elephant, is when Rudy Giuliani and Bernie Kerik went to the Newcastle County Courthouse here in Delaware and talked about me being involved in, I think, child sex crimes and stuff like that. And I mean, literally with nothing. That one was the last and the only one that was kind of hard to wake up from. Is like how do you ever take that out of somebody's head after they've heard it, But I mean, truly, the list just goes on and on.
Did you try to sue for defamation or damages or anything after that?
No, and I mean, I am in a defamation suit right now. I mean, one of the craziest ones is what Patrick Byrne said about me. And let me get this straight. He said that I was.
No, he's not. Does he know he's not in that anymore?
Well, first of all,
or is there another one that we're not aware of?
First of all, he did sue us. Sued us in Los Angeles. The case lasted for about 1.5 years. We had to spend money on it. And he dropped it. He dropped it because he didn't have any evidence. And not only that, I can't show you the picture, and I won't. I have never, ever, no matter how much they've attacked me or whatever, ever shown the picture that he had that was clearly child pornography based on the expert analysis of several child pornography experts from the NYPD, from the Delaware police. But in any event, you don't even need that. I'm going to find for you, after we take a break, I'm going to find for you what this guy should have found if he were a decent person. Remember, Andrew Callahan. Whenever you see it, run the other way. Okay, we'll take a short break. Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster, and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudys Coffee.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal, 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code Rudy. Act fast. These deals are selling.
U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. There it is.
Perfect timing, Mayor. Perfect timing.
Ladies and gentlemen, it took me a while to find it. I should keep it out a little more, but this is Hunter Biden's own words to his father. This is in 2019. I'll get you the exact date put it up. She told my therapist that I was sexually inappropriate with, that's the name of the girl, when she says that I FaceTime naked with her. This is the girl, 14 years old, by the way. And the reason I can't have her out to see me is because I'll walk around naked, smoking crack, talking tom girls on FaceTime. When she was pressed, she said that, but the girl never said anything like that. But the bottom line is that I create and cause a very unsafe environment for the kids. Okay, I'll give you two things. First, he says he created an unsafe and unsafe environment for the kids. I have, I'd say without exaggeration, 100 pictures of him walking around the house the kids lived in with no clothes on, doing all the things described there, multiple times. There are pictures of it. Him with his penis sticking out, kids, underage kids in that house. Him in closets filled with crack smoke, with kids in the house. Him talking to prostitutes on the phone and highly explicit sexual conversations with kids in the house. Him masturbating himself with kids in the house. Now, how do the psychiatrists get all that right? In other words, the girl is protecting him, right? The girl says, the psychiatrist says, that girl shouldn't be with that pervert because of that's what he does, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is what he does. We have the video of it, endless video of it. It makes you vomit. So that's true. He does do that. How would the psychiatrist know that if the girl didn't tell her? If the 14-year-old didn't tell her? But then when she gets confronted, the kid's scared and she said, well, I didn't really say that. The psychiatrist guessed it. And then he backs off because he's an extraordinarily complicated guy, the creation of his perverted father, by the way, who says, but the bottom line is that I create and caused a very unsafe environment for the kids. All you got to do then is take that away and look at all the pictures on there of him in that house where the kids live with his former sister-in-law who he was having an affair with, his brother's wife, with the kids in the house. doing things like, no, never mind. Never mind. It's not worth it. This family is I've had it with the family, but I've also had it with little shits like Callahan, who let them say this and don't challenge them. What was I supposed to do with that and with all those pictures? You know what I was told by the New York Police Department, who I had come look at it when I saw it? They said, you don't go report that. They're going to say that you're hiding child pornography. That's what I was told. I'll produce the witness if you want. And if they ever, you shouldn't. We went through them. And now we're putting this guy on again. Without, I mean, look, everybody has a right to go on. But they don't have, if you're a decent, this is not about what you have a right to do. They had a right to do that. Callahan had a right to suck up to him like you did. The question is, what kind of person are you if you do that? And should we rely on you? And should your career go any further? I sure hope not. That guy could do a lot of damage. The other guy already has. How about Hillary's health situation? Last night I got to cover it a bit, but I didn't have the Putin report. The Putin report goes into highly sensitive documents that it would be illegal if they were taken in the United States, protected by HIPAA. And you might remember, I'm not going to bother to show you again, that about 2 months before Hillary crashed down on 9/11 going into her car like the Queen Mary, I began saying on television and to the president or presidential candidate and the campaign that she was sick. There's something wrong with her. And last night, my former chief of my security company reminded me that both of us had noticed that she was coughing a lot. But I also noticed something strange in her eyes. I thought she was taking drugs. And I began telling that to the people in the campaign. I said, I don't know if her health is going to hold out. And then I realized that September 11 was coming up, and I said to the president, I'm going to go to September 11. I always do, but you should come with me. He was a little reluctant because he hadn't gone before, as many people hadn't. It really was mostly for people heavily involved in the day. And he said, it'll look like I'm going just because I'm a candidate. I said, well, you're a candidate for president now, and you did have a lot to do with it, and they are kind of maligning you, suggesting you didn't. I know you did. So I'd really like to take you there. And I think if I take you, at that time, they weren't lying about me. And I said, there's one other thing. I don't think I just have this feeling she's not going to make it through the ceremony. And if we stay there, we'll keep her there. And we'll show the American people that they can elect an incompetent president. Little did I know.
I take it you have no interest in setting the record straight in reaching out to this Andrew Callahan fella? Well,
no, he was so incompetent. I don't think there's any hope.
Maybe you could dress him down to his face. I would love to see that.
I don't think he's worth it. I mean, if this were an established journalist, I think I'd give him too much credit. Former mayor of New York, the former lawyer to the president, talking this little shit.
True, but you'd tear down Hunter real quick.
No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. He would.
No, I don't mean tear him down as a person.
Shits alike. He would go use.
He wouldn't be able to.
Yes, he would. He can get off and say anything he wants.
Oh, you mean like tape?
Also, you better not do it in person.
We'd have to do that one by Zoom.
We could have a Marcus of Queensberry boxing match. I'd be willing to do that. I'm 81 years old. He should be able to kick the shit.
So you wouldn't disgrace this show or your audience by putting him on your show, would you?
I would predict.
You could dress him down on your show, on this show.
I predict 2 minutes. But in any event, I don't see the point. This guy is not This guy is not some substantial. I mean, maybe I should think about suing him.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sue
I could
Hunter.
sue that. I could sue Jerkoff, but what's the use of doing that?
Well, they got money,
It'll take you forever to get money.
but they have it.
I mean, I'd have to look at, because I haven't in a long time, what the law is with regard. He would probably be pretty much protected under the law because he's not. You're not required to challenge. Ethics, decency would say you would. And if you want to develop a reputation as a responsible person, you would. But there's no law that says that if somebody is lying, that you're responsible, that you have to point that out. Now, you could get really technical here, but I don't think he would fit this category. If he knew, for sure, not if he was just negligent in, and I am a public person, and therefore they get the protection of Times against Sullivan. They can basically say anything against me as long as they don't know absolutely that it's untrue.
Because of your
Hunter knows it's absolutely untrue. So you could sue Hunter. That guy can always say, well, how did I know that Hunter? Oh, I didn't check. Okay, well, that's negligence. You could sue for that. You're not a public person if you're not. But I can't. That's the Times against Sullivan decision, and then all the cases after. And they get very complicated, and they limit the amount of the range in which a public official or public person, doesn't matter if you're an official or a public personality, the person commenting on you has a lot greater range to do everything but lie about you. He could be negligent, like he was. Well, according to the report that Vladimir Putin has, that of course the press will not point out, this goes back to September 18, 2020. It's a report. I mean, it's a report like the ones that were being analyzed by Tulsi Gabbard, an intelligence report, except it comes from the Russian intelligence, who are very much like us. Russian Foreign Intelligence Service, the SVR, possessed Democratic National Committee communications that Clinton was suffering from intensified psycho-emotional problems, including uncontrolled fits of anger, aggression, and cheerfulness, inappropriate cheerfulness. You might remember it. Now that comes back to me in a vaguely, her laughing at strange times. But in any event, I do remember her looking depressed, her looking influenced by drugs. And I was really thinking more of physical illness rather than mental illness. They're thinking more of mental illness. Now, this they source it to 20 interviews with intelligence offices, FBI agents, sources, as well as a review of publicly available tapes and documents. According to the report, they have evidence, they don't say how, we think we know, hacking, right, into her hospital account or medical account. Clinton was placed on a daily regimen of extremely heavy tranquilizers. And the report from a psychiatrist says she was afraid of losing, but she was then also obsessed with a thirst for power. By September 2016, this is when she crashed out, we put out they weren't going to, I mean, John Humain last night on this show, or maybe the earlier show, pointed out that he observed her crashing down, came over and told me, and it took miracles to get that out, but we got it out. By September 2016, some of these communications showed Obama and Democratic Party bosses found the state of Clinton's health extraordinarily alarming and fretted that it could have a serious negative impact on her ability to beat Trump. At the point she suffers from type 2 diabetes, ischemic heart disease, deep vein thrombosis, and a chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. This information Putin got, and the choice was, do we put it out and crush her candidacy, or do we let her escape? Now, this is a guy that was supposedly, intervening to help Trump. Don't you put that out? Just further proof that Tulsi Gabbard found what we all knew to be the truth way back then. And once again, Brennan, Clapper, James Cardinal Comey, sick Hillary, sick Biden, and related sycophants are lying. Another guy who's lying, who got some kind of a ridiculous break today, I don't know how, is Ron Klain, when it was said that he was forthcoming and he was friendly and he didn't take the fifth. And I thought I heard some Republicans say that. The fact is, I got to remember this expression. I tried to write it down here. Let me see if I can find it. Isn't he a lying
dog-faced pony
dog
soldier?
What?
A lying dog-faced
dog-faced pony soldier.
Let me bring this up for you.
You want to see his face to see what a lying dog-faced pony soldier looks like? That could be fun. Let's see what a lying dog-faced pony soldier looks like. Oh, it can take a while to find it.
While you do that, I'm going to bring up
these pony soldiers hide on you. Sons of a gun. There we go. Oh gosh, we got to go back to the beginning of time here.
Where did he say that? Was that here?
What do you got, Ted?
I got this. Trying to bring up this clip here. This is Joe Biden.
You can't sign with my name on it?
You're a lying.
I'm not. I swear. I swear my name is on it. But I'm poor anyway. Huh? Yeah, I am. One is mine and one about when I'm poor, you know.
Yeah, one you're going to sell on eBay.
Well, no, later, you know, I'm poor. What do you want me to do?
You're a lying dog-faced pony
I'm not.
soldier.
I told you one of them is mine and one of them I'm going to sell it later.
Well, you got one.
You can do two?
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
I'm not. I told you one of them is mine and one of them I'm going to sell it later.
Now, do you want to see one? Yeah, watch. Here's a lying dog-faced pony soldier right there. Has been for years. And he was the other day. Remember? Maybe you can still find it. The Ablo. We're going to get those Hunter things. We're going to put them in one file. They're going to be in one place, and we can put them out anytime people lie. Because the best and most authoritative proof, the single best witness against his father is Hunter Biden. I don't know if there's, maybe we should ask Keith Abloh, who was a kind of strange psychiatrist. But do you think Hunter, now this is really psychobabble bullshit.
Yeah.
But do you think Hunter was trying to expose his father? I mean, there are.
You mentioned this before.
This is all stuff that I didn't spend a lot of time on. I just know it. There's an awful lot of stuff in him complaining about his father and his stepmother. I mean, this is not unusual. I guess even normal children have things like this. But there are points at which he really describes tremendous hatred for his father.
Right.
Now, I feel like interrupting that and saying, Hunter, I agree with you now. I agree with you on this. Look, there's no excuse. You're a man of 50 or 40 or whatever, and you're taking money from the biggest enemies of the United States, China. You're going around and fixing cases for the biggest crook in Ukraine. I don't care if you're a drug addict or whatever you are. You're not. He doesn't appear to be a nincompoop like his father. I mean, I knew his father at that age. He's smarter than his old man. His father was a real dope. I never knew the other brother, who apparently was the clean one in the family. But even there, he sounds more intelligent. I don't mean Joe demented. I mean Joe in his best day was a moron. He's smarter than the old man. Now I am. There's a teeny bit of my assuming, and I hate to assume, and I want to tell you my assumption so you can test my conclusion. I assume that Hunter, for a long, long time, going back to his childhood, had an addictive personality. I also believe, and here I'm playing, pseudo-psychiatrist, he had an inferiority complex because the older brother was like a saint. And not only do I assume the second part of it, but I can show you support for in the things on the hard drive. The part about his having an addictive personality, I'd have to go back and figure out how far back his drug addiction went. And the hard drive is not particularly informative on that. It's informative on his complaints. And his complaints reveal, a lot about his psychology. But exactly when, but I think it's pretty obvious, and I don't know if anyone would that this guy had an inferiority, a tremendous, to the point of dangerous inferiority complex. There's no doubt he had an addictive personality. I've known a lot of drug addicts, right? Prosecuted a lot of them and used a lot of them as witnesses and helped a lot of them. I've never seen too many as bad as this. This guy would go into rehab and take drugs in rehab and set up a whole system of getting the drugs and prostitutes while he was in rehab. And because he was Biden, he'd get away with it. So all the rehabs were one phony thing after another to satisfy somebody, the old man or the old lady or his wife at the time. But they weren't. I don't know if I can't say he didn't have a legitimate rehab, but everyone that I knew of, we've got something where he's ordering drugs, he's getting in trouble using the father's credit card. The Secret Service has to barge in and take it away from him. There's so much more on that hard drive than these. I don't know if they cover this stuff up on purpose, or they're stupid, or rely on young kids who don't know what they're doing. I don't know what it is, but I'll be damned if they don't miss the most important evidence, which gets you suspicious. Are they really that bad? It's like staring you in the face. For 35 years, I gave half my salary to my father. Boom. Bam. The psychiatrist, the young girl, the 14-year-old that I was accused of being abusive to, told her psychiatrist that I was walking around the house nude, 100 pictures of that. Smoking dope, another 100 pictures of that. And talking trash to prostitutes, numerous videos of that, including some that I can't even describe to you. I won't describe to you. Probably some of the most disgusting things you've ever seen. This isn't salacious porn. This is vomiting type porn. Okay. People don't go to jail for that if it's an adult. But when your pictures are filled up with 50% girls 14 and 15, and there are a couple of pictures, one of them with no clothes on, and you tell your old man that you're a danger to the children at home, What is the person who discovers it supposed to do with it? Do what the FBI did? Do what Bill Barr did? Do what that piece of crap who ran the FBI did? Cover it up? Or you're supposed to bring it to the authorities, which is what Bernie Kerik and I did. I don't even think we had a choice. I think legally we did because neither one of us were public officials at the time. Had I been mayor at the time, it would have been, I think, a crime for me not to reveal it. And had he been police commissioner at the time, same thing. And that's true in most states. If a public official, like a teacher, or comes across evidence of child, it's not just pornography, child abuse, child abuse, which could also be physical, beating a child. He says he abused the kids. He says it. What am I supposed to do with it? Do the same thing that the crooks do, meaning Democrats, cover it up. Same thing the press does, cover it up. The same thing what Republicans in the House do, cover it up. What's the point of covering it up? Nobody's ever seen a picture of the little girl. And that's because of me. I took it out. As soon as I found out about it, I have two versions. When the FBI crashed into my apartment and for no really earthly reason, illegal, in violation of our sacred Fourth Amendment, which goes back to the Revolution, ransacked my apartment and my law office for reasons they haven't apologized for. Except they had to, at the request, not the request, the very enormously skillful advocacy of my lawyer, Bob Costello, had to admit to a grand jury there was no probable cause that I committed any crime. Well, how is it that a year later or a year and a half later, after thousands of hours of investigation by people dying to get me, they found no evidence of a crime? No probable cause that I committed a crime, not even evidence. But there was evidence a year and a half earlier to crash into my apartment and my law office. And they still won't give me the affidavit. A lot of fixing to do. Do it because this could all happen again very easily. We haven't passed anything like a point where we've turned this around. I mean, we're hopefully we're going slow because we're going carefully. But some of it seems like we just started to get going. But I'm always been extremely hard on my investigators and assistants, and I believe any delay in investigation is always a benefit to the crooks. And the more evidence gets stale, the more people can escape. And the crimes that you really solve, you solve quick. And the guys who really want to solve crimes move quickly. And you can be responsible and quick. Anybody good is. Anybody slow is slow. So August 1st is coming up real soon, Ted. So what's August 1st is Tariff Day.
Tariff Day.
And what?
He was asked, and he was asked about it this morning. I didn't go into
a lot of deals have been made, but a lot haven't.
Right. There's still a lot of work to be done.
So on that day, people could get hit with tariffs of minimum 15, maximum 50. Now, some of our best trading partners we have deals with. So it's not going to affect UK, for sure. It's not going to affect, despite the fact that somebody lied about this recently, some congressman, and they've got ripped apart by some very, very good reporter, that Japan hadn't made a deal. Japan has made a deal. Not only that, Japan
got a great deal.
Also, Japan just voted in a right-wing government.
Which is,
if I were in China, I get kind of nervous. Mr. Xi Jinping, for the last 1,500 years, what country has kicked your ass constantly? It's between Xi and me. I have always thought and recommended, if you listen to me for a long time, that we rearm Japan as a strong, strong ally like Israel. I'd like to see Japan, Taiwan, South Korea, Philippines be our Israel there. If you want to send over some Israelis to train them, I'd be more than happy to see that happen. Who could do a better job than the Israelis did in cleaning out all of the block, all of the protection, all of the garbage that Iran set up so that we couldn't get to them. And Bibi did it while Biden was telling him not to attack Hamas. So any days he wasn't attacking Hamas, he was destroying the other Israeli proxies. Love that Bibi. Americans should love that Bibi. He did our dirty work for us. He continues to some extent. We still have jackasses in the State Department and in our foreign intelligence service that don't appreciate, like when he went into Syria and bombed, he was bombed like a madman, like Kelly did. Do you see that the Druze people are upset that Israel isn't supporting them enough? Well, the Druze have every right to make that claim. The Druze supported the state of their I would say they're sort of a mixture of Christian, Muslim, and Jewish. Everything I just said is true. Here's the thing that's really true. They're peaceful people. They have a beautiful temple in Haifa. Wherever they are, they don't cause trouble, and they are very, very decent people who, even if they are Muslim, don't listen to the outrageous invocations that Muhammad gave them to slaughtering Jews and slaughtering Christians. They just ignore that, and I don't think Muhammad is just like there. He's not like the big guy. Probably a good idea not to have a mass murderer be the big guy. So they help they fight in the Israeli army. They're some of the most decorated people in the Israeli army. So when they were getting wiped out by, theoretically, the Bedouin tribes. Now, I don't know what the Bedouin tribes are. I know what they were a couple hundred years ago. The Bedouin tribes don't go around wiping people out. Terrorist groups do. I don't know of and I could be wrong, and correct me if I am, but I've never heard of the Bedouin terrorist group. The people wiping them out were terrorist groups. They believe it was the government that we're now sucking up to in Syria. The Druze do. Now, if that doesn't get you, they also killed 1,000 Christians, but nobody cares about Christians. So what Bibi did was the right thing to do, State Department. And who the hell are you to say he's a madman when he did the bombing that you wouldn't do when our people were getting killed? When the Houthis were bombing the shit out of the Red Sea and occasionally killing Americans, the State Department, didn't recommend to the dumbwit in the White House or to Obama, who may have been running things behind the scenes, that you protect our soldiers. But Bibi did. The reason we were able to bomb Iran the way we did is because the Israeli Air Force cleaned the crap out of his Hezbollah, out of the Iran defenses, all against the advice of Biden, and then a certain element even within the Trump State Department. Peace. We want peace. Peace, peace, peace. Yeah, that's great to say if peace doesn't mean you got a neighbor next to you that wants to destroy you for 45 years and is still killing you. And if you got a guy sitting in Iran that wants to be nuclear who says death to Israel, oh, State Department, do you miss the death to America part with Iran? Somebody missed that? And we negotiate with them. And when we do, and even when we make peace with them, the next day they have a demonstration saying death to America. Isn't that going like this to us? I thought we weren't going to take that anymore. Time to toughen up. I know you think it's been pretty tough. Not enough in Iran. Too much delay, and delay isn't the great benefit of dictators. Always has been. The more they delayed, the stronger Hitler got. The more they delayed, the closer bin Laden got to hitting the World Trade Center. Want a few more examples? When the Ayatollah sits down and signs this great peace agreement that I guess some people in our government think are great, are you going to believe it? I mean, when the Ayatollah, first he's going to have to clean all the American blood off his hands. All the families back in America that don't have sons or daughters now because his damn Quds force killed them. Some of it with our money given to them by Obama. So when he cleans that blood off and signs it, we're going to believe it? Sound a little like the 1930s? Anybody read history? This guy is beyond having a peaceful agreement with, because it won't be peaceful. It'll be peaceful for you, not for him. Well, I got to talk a little about my old city, because it's really, really sad. But it's about time, and this I'm very, very supportive of and have been for years. The Department of Justice is suing New York City over the sanctuary city laws. Thank God. Now they're doing it, and they've been preparing it a long time. And people say, well, they're doing it because an illegal alien who was not reported after multiple crimes to immigration shot an immigration agent. And the reason he wasn't reported is because the law of New York City prevents that and protects the attempted murderer. Sound a little weird to you? Sound like the law shouldn't work that way? Sounds like legislatures and city councils shouldn't pass laws that protect murderers or attempted murderers? Sound like they shouldn't pass laws that interfere with the operation of federal law in an area where the federal government has predominant power, preemptive power? That all sounds right to me, and thank God the Justice Department is suing Adams and the others. And although we have a little more sympathy for Adams because he's running against probably the most dangerous guy that's run for office in a very long time anywhere, and it has to be in my wonderful city. But Adams has been a pussy on this. I'm sorry. I mean, you don't have to follow these laws. You took an oath. The oath said you would uphold the Constitution of the United States. Now you got a whole group of laws, right? And some of them are New York laws. But New York laws mean nothing if they contradict a federal law in an area of federal preemption. What I just said to you is the outcome of the Civil War. If you don't know that, I don't know. Go do something else. Don't be a mayor. And if you don't have the guts to stand up for that, I don't know what kind of cop you were. You're sure to make a lot of arrests. This is all we got against this guy, except for Curtis and maybe Curtis. has a chance. We'll get into that. I sort of avoided it.
Yeah. And
I've got to get into it and see. Because we got to do everything we can to keep Mandami out.
Right.
I mean, even with this, I would take Adams over Mandami. But we got to straighten out. Forget Mandami, forget Adams. We got to straighten out the sanctuary city laws. A lot of people have gotten killed because of what the New York City Council did. Adams knows it's wrong. Adams' problem is not, he doesn't have the right ideas, or he can't figure out the right ideas. Very often he does. He won't implement. He's not a tough guy. Tough enough to get in trouble with his party and get crucified by them, but not tough enough to follow through. Isn't that strange? Reminds me of like Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter would always be in the middle and you have everybody hating him. He wasn't strong enough to be completely left-wing. He was definitely not right-wing. And when the answer actually was in one of those two areas, he'd have to be in the middle. So then everybody hated him. Or not didn't hate him. Everybody thought he was a useless president, and he was. Also, and I know you're going to get upset, some of you, if I say this, he was a useless ex-president also, and a terrible enemy of the state of Israel, and a very, very big help to Islamic, including extremist groups, by the nature of the positions that he took. And an extraordinarily silly man. Maybe he began the string of, well, no, Clinton wasn't silly. Obama wasn't silly. That would be a wrong description. Biden. So New York is a place where this illegal immigrant, Miguel Francisco Moro Nunez, who shot the U.S. border agent and his companion. This guy could have been turned in about 5 different times by New York City in the short period of time that he was here. That's because he committed so many crimes. And you want to tell me that illegal immigrants, this current crop of illegal immigrants, isn't a crime problem for the United States? They keep saying Americans commit more crimes than the illegal aliens. First of all, that was true 20 years ago. It's not true today. And number two, it's a stupid argument. Even if it's true, why should we import crime?
Right.
And it isn't that they don't commit a lot of them. I mean, how many people have they killed? None of them would be dead if we didn't have Biden. If that border wasn't wide open, most of these people, particularly the really bad ones, wouldn't be here. You ever want to count up how many people Biden is responsible for their death because of his insane policies? It's insane to have an open border in a dangerous world. So this Nunez guy should never have been here to shoot these people. And now, you know how the Bidenistas vetted him? I mean, this is better than they do with most people. By Zoom. By Zoom. I don't know how you vet somebody by Zoom. Mexico is going to tell you somebody's criminal record by Zoom? What, are you out of your mind? Well, they didn't get it. Maybe they should have used carrier pigeon. Then we have an illegal immigrant who's accused of decapitating a woman and slashing her body in a bleach-filled container. He was arrested Saturday by Immigration, Customs, and Enforcement. 3 months after an Illinois judge let him walk on those charges. He committed another crime. This is Jose Luis Mendoza Gonzalez. What do New York and Chicago have in common? They're crooked democratic cities with crooked judiciaries. Can't be a straight judiciary if you let somebody go who's accused of decapitating somebody. What do they have in common? What does Denver, who per capita has the most illegals, New York and Chicago, have in common? A lot of illegals committing a lot of crimes in their left-wing Democrat cities, and one of them wants to go communist. That's New York. Trump's polls haven't changed based on the CBS News survey, and his polls among Republicans haven't changed at all. In fact, neither have changed. 88% of Republicans support him despite Jeffrey Epstein. Republicans are all walking out. This is what I hear on I heard it last night on MSNBC. It kind of woke me up. Republicans are walking out. Republicans are walking out on Trump because of Epstein. CBS is not exactly pro-Trump.
Right.
2 months ago, it was 88% support for Trump. Oh, gosh, it says 88% again. Quinnipiac has it at 90. Oh, he's getting destroyed. Wow. Do they ever stop lying? Ted, ever? I thought it would stop a little. I really did. I honestly thought it would stop a little after the election.
I felt like we got like a month, maybe that time between the election and...
I sometimes put on CNN.
Yeah.
Largely because of their international news. And not because they'll do it fairly, but they'll do it. If there's a riot going on, they'll give you the wrong spin on it, but at least you'll know what's going on.
Yeah.
If they're burning down Paris, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
But they'll blame it. They'll say Trump, was pretending to be in Scotland, really went to Paris and burned it down. Right. But
you can at least get
MSNBC doesn't even have time for that. They just put these completely insane-looking whack job people on. They all look weird. I swear to God. Maybe they give them something before they come on. MSNBC powder or something. And then they say the most absurd things.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
Are they attacking Governor Shapiro because he said that Mondami basically hates Jews? Gee, that's right, Governor. I'm glad you did it. Why I have to be like here?
Is that a no-brainer?
Sort of admiring your moral clarity and your wisdom when you come out against a communist, Jew-hating, useless bum is a little annoying, but I do. And I wonder at how, except for maybe Fetterman got to you, I don't know. But it's just you and Fetterman. What's happening? What's happening to the big hero of the Jewish people, the highest elected Jewish person? He hasn't been seen in 15 years. I don't even remember his name anymore. I think he changed it. He's no longer Jewish. Chuck Sharp. No, Chuck Sharp. He changed his name. He doesn't want to be Jewish anymore.
Yeah.
Since he wants Bibi, since he interfered in the Israeli election and nobody prosecuted him.
Right.
I mean, what? If you're Jewish, I guess you have to let him in a synagogue, right? Yeah. You have to let somebody in a church. You don't have like a pope that can excommunicate somebody. A couple of those rabbis I know would do a lot more than excommunicate them. They never liked Schumer. You know that. Nobody ever liked Schumer. Schumer never liked Schumer. Schumer is the majority leader. You say, well, how did he become the majority leader? He paid them all off. He was the best fundraiser, and he's become a multimillionaire as a result of it. But they don't like him. The other guy who's in deep trouble is Jeffries. Jeffries hasn't endorsed Mondami yet. Mondami has attacked him as being like an out-of-control Zionist and a hater of the Muslim people. Do they can make friends? Tough choice. And Jeffries is alleged to have said that if they elect Mondami, they might as well kiss any chance of the House of Representatives goodbye. By the way, Jeffries, we don't agree on anything. We agree on that because you know what we're going to do. Or I'm going to do. We're going to run against Mondami all over the country. in 3/4 of this country, they would have no idea that something like Mondami even exists in America. Like, we let people like this in? They get to be naturalized. And they hate us. And they love Islamic extremists who kill us. And they hate the Jewish people. And they want to have government-owned grocery stores. Not exactly middle America. We had another example of how New York is trying very hard under D.A. Bragg, who's up for re-election. And man, should he be defeated. So Scotty Eno was put on trial because he stabbed a guy who was beating the crap out of him and also threatening 3 or 4 women. Each of the women testified in his favor that he had to do it. And they put him on trial and tried to put him in jail for 20 years. He got acquitted, Bragg. The only thing you prosecute are people who act in self-defense, and Trump. But that case still hasn't been dismissed. Nor has the Engamoron ridiculous case where he valued Mar-a-Lago at 20, was it actually $20 million?
Oh my goodness. Wasn't it maybe 30? No, maybe it was like 18.
It was 18 million, yeah. I offered to buy it at twice the price, even though I was bankrupt. I was going to go, I knew people would loan it to me.
Well, I'm proud of our investigative work. We went around Palm Beach, got some listings.
Right away.
And showed the
we
president.
found a $35 million piece of crap.
And we brought our findings directly to the president.
We found a $35 million house that was 1/20th the size of Mar-a-Lago. No access to either.
He loved it. He loved
the
it.
ocean or the.
Yeah.
No, Trump loved it. Yeah.
We loved it. We showed him.
No, but we did it ourselves. We
drove over.
We did.
What do we call it?
We did what the lazy, crooked Democrat bum should have done.
It wouldn't have taken him long.
We went out and we looked at, here's what you call it in real estate, comparables. Hey, jerk off, you call it comparables. Maybe that little Democratic agent, communist agent, or whatever she was, sitting next to you, should have told you that. You know how absurd that is? The case should get reversed because you're insane. That's an insane judgment by a judge. $20 million for Mar-a-Lago. Also, fraud without loss. I mean, fraud is a common law crime developed by the English from the Roman Catholic religion. Mm-hmm. The English used to be Roman Catholic before Henry VIII decided he wanted to get divorced from Catherine of Aragon, right? Remember? You all remember that. Well, you probably don't if you went to New York City public school in the last 10 or 15 years. But if you went before, you'd know that for sure. So a lot of the English law, criminal law, comes out of the moral theology of the Roman Catholic Church. Even the pardon is an interpretation of a king using the parameters of the sacrament of confession for determining if people should be forgiven. That was like 1,400 years ago. No, not 1,400. What am I saying? No, that was like 800 years ago. Sorry, I don't want to sound like them. The Powell and Trump confrontation yesterday was all over every international paper. Did you know that? Well, we played it yesterday, but
yeah.
Nobody can believe he brings the guy out. The guy looked like such a schlump, dude. I felt sorry for him. I mean, I felt sorry for Powell. He looked like he was.
You gotta wait. Did we get to play it? We gotta play that, yeah. Slapped him around real quick.
How much are you spending on this thing? How much? How much is the overrun? What would you do with somebody if it was your project, Mr. President? The overruns with 30 million. I'd fire him.
He said,
and then he looks at him. I'd fire him.
And
then he disputes whether the overruns were 22 million or 34 million. Little schlumphead.
So funny.
He's probably as right about that as he is about interest rates. Right. Yeah, look at him. Oh, he really looks very comfortable, doesn't he? Look at him.
Let's get some sound here.
Yeah, come on.
And we're just taking a look at what's happening, and it's It's a tough construction job. They're building basements where they didn't exist or expanding them, and a lot of very expensive work. There's no question about it. And Tim has been with me for a long time, and you're in charge of the committee.
Indeed. One of the reasons why we wanted to see it was the overruns of the expenses, wanted to figure out why.
Yeah. So we're taking a look, and it looks like it's about 3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
Except you.
Our notes had it about 3.1 as well.
3.1.
3.2.
Yes. I don't know who does that.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just added our entire capital. Yeah, you just added in a third building. Is what that is. That's a third building.
Well, no, but it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
It's part of the overall work.
But
So
it's not new.
so we're going to take a look.
Funny.
We're going to see what's happening, and it's got a long way. Do you expect any more additional cost overruns?
Don't expect them. We're ready for them, but we have a little bit of.
We're ready for them.
Yeah.
We're ready
for
for them.
Finished in 2027. We're well along, as you can see.
Nice to take these off every once in a while when we're not under too much danger. So, any questions?
Mr. President, does he issue
We got it.
Oh, that's
he's
funny.
arguing over whether it's a 2.7 or $3.2 billion overrun. And he's also saying, that on the original project, they put in another building. The original project was to be just to fix. It's a beautiful building, by the way. It's on Constitution Avenue. It's one of the most beautiful buildings in Washington, the Federal Reserve. I have no idea why they're doing this, but in any event, when I used to drive to work, when I worked in the Ford administration, I'd pass that building every day. And when I used to run every morning, when I was in the Reagan administration, I'd pass it going the Federal Reserve. It's also probably one of the, which we will get into next week. And we're going to ask you to go over to Dr. Maria right now, because I don't know exactly when she's going to run those videos of Biden. But I want you to remember Callahan, the creepy guy who doesn't ask follow-up questions or any questions, let somebody just lie there living backside off. And all these videos were available to him that would have made the claim that his father was demented predate the time that his father ran for office, and corroborate the statement that he completely ignores and doesn't point out to contradict Hunter, which is that Hunter said in 2019 that his father was demented, or Hunter's statement that he was a danger to his nieces and nephews, particularly his nieces, sexually. That's what we have coming up as young reporters. Andrew Callahan, disgraceful. Well, pray for the people of Israel. Pray for the people of Ukraine. Pray for the people of Iran. You never know over these weekends what could happen. Pray for us. Well, all of America. Pray for our country, the greatness of it, the ability of America to give to the rest of the world. First, it has to, be able to be solid itself to do that. Like they tell you, you got to take down the mask first, right? Put it on before you can help anybody. People, first time I heard that, I thought that sounds selfish. And then I thought about it and I said, no, that's absolutely right. Here, I'm going to help, and boom, I would go out. So, you think about that. It's a great an analogy, a great sort of description of why it's important to be fiscally and militarily and morally strong if you're going to help the rest of the world. And pray for our president. The guy's got, I don't know how he does it. I hope he gets a chance to play a little golf in Scotland. I hope. I know it will help. And he's a very interesting, complex man, and people find their ways of relaxing, and we all have different ways, and that's his way of doing it. And it's fabulous because most of the time, as Ted knows, he's working when he does it. So go. Lindell TV, is it on?
Lindell TV.
I can find out right now. Let's see, because I don't want to mislead you because they were having problems before. That's why we weren't on. Let's see. Well, yeah, it seems like it's on, but I don't see Dr. Maria here. Skip ad. America is back.
Yep, you're on.
They're on. Okay. So, God bless America. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply